Ah, boy, I'm thirsty. Nothing tastes better than water when you're thirsty. Oh, speaking of which, I should probably water my plants. Water is so important. Have you ever wondered where water comes from besides a water bottle or your faucet? Would you believe that the water you drink may have been part of the Indian Ocean or even a cloud? And humans, animals, and plants all need water to survive. And the water that we drink today could be 3.8 billion, that's almost 4 billion years old, and from different parts of the world. And this is all because of the water cycle. Okay, I've heard the term water cycle, but let's think about what is a cycle. A cycle is a set of steps that repeat over and over again. When you get to the last step, it goes right back to the beginning and starts all over again. Let's just start with precipitation, or rain, or snow, sleet, freezing rain. All of that is precipitation, and it all falls from the sky. It falls from the sky in clouds, from the clouds, but what is a cloud? A cloud is actually a bunch of tiny droplets of water. And those tiny droplets of water are suspended in the air because they are tiny and they float. The tiny droplets join together with many other water droplets and they become heavier and heavier until they start to fall. Gravity pulls them to the earth as rain, hail, and snow. A lot of precipitation accumulates on the ground, but it also flows into creeks and streams, which then flow toward rivers and lakes, and finally out to the ocean. This is called the collection or the accumulation stage. Oh, yes, puddles count too. I mentioned puddles because I'm thinking of some of you students who love to jump in them and get your classmates wet. But then have you ever noticed how when you go outside the next day, that same rain puddle has disappeared? Or if you're driving over the Nooksack River, the water level has decreased. Or even Weiser Lake, the level seems like it's decreased just with time. Well, that's because the water turns into water vapor. It didn't just vanish, it changed into a gas. It goes up high in the sky where it's really cold. I just mentioned how when water evaporates, it changes into vapor and goes up into the sky. And at the same time, you might notice how your house plant has tiny water droplets on it, or the plants outside might have drops of water on some of their petals, on some of your flowers. And where did those water droplets come from? It hasn't rained. Well, at the same time evaporation is happening, so is what's called transpiration. And transpiration is when water moves through the plants and then evaporates. So this too will go up to the sky. Plants end up losing more than 90% water through the transpiration process. And you know that water is necessary for plants to grow and for their metabolism. From evaporation and transpiration, this leads us to what's called condensation. As water vapor cools, it changes back from a gas to tiny droplets of water. Lots of droplets of water together make the clouds. And if you think about water collecting on a cold surface, when humid air comes into contact with it, that's condensation. So imagine you're inside your car and you breathe on it, And now you can write your initials or here H2O, which yes, that stands for water. Water goes from the vapor or gas stage to the liquid stage, or of course the solid if it's snowing is condensation. And last, you could think of fog, whenever you see fog outside, or even dew in the summertime, those little tiny droplets of water that you see on the blades of grass. So then after this stage, and it'll all go back up, and you guessed it, the water cycle will start over and become precipitation. So let's look at one more slide to recap what we've learned. Here are the important vocabulary words. Precipitation is the same thing as rain or hail or snow. Accumulation is the same thing as collection. That means that all of the rainwater or precipitation gathers in puddles, lakes, rivers, the ocean. Next, evaporation. The sun warms the water on the earth and converts it to steam or water vapor. Either way, it goes up to the atmosphere. Transpiration, think of the plants. The water moves through the plants and trees and exits through their leaves and their stems or their flowers and goes back up in the air. And last is condensation. And that just means that the water vapor in the air changes back to a liquid and forms clouds. And then start all over again with precipitation around and around. Remember that the water you drink from the faucet or a water bottle or a drinking fountain, it's the same water that the woolly mammoths drank. It's the same water that came from Australia. Take care of the earth and its water. It's so important. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the wrap video next by Go Noodle.